I'm so excited to be here today, and I've been, really enjoying this Women Tech Global Conference, and I've been enjoying all the amazing speakers around the world. So today I'm here to talk to you about developing into leadership and convincing others, and sometimes yourself, that you're ready. But first, a little random fact I'll throw your way. Did you know that Americans stress bought all the baby chicks in the spring of 2020? My Pet Chicken, a hatchery in Connecticut, reported that by the first week of March 2020, their sales were already at 98% of the previous year's figures. And by the end of March, that number increased to more than 500%. So, okay, maybe not so random. I was one of those people who bought chickens. So outside of working at Yelp for the last 6 years and leading technology teams for about 10 years, I am now a flock keeper and the neighborhood egg lady. So now that you know a little bit about me, I'll get talking to you about my journey into leadership. So what we'll cover today is leadership from an individual contributor to manager and how that can take shape and change over time, how to recognize the opportunity and harness that momentum and advocate for yourself. And then once you're a manager or in that leadership role, what's next? Okay, so leadership. I love this quote about leadership from Oprah Winfrey. Leadership is about empathy. It's about having the ability to relate to and connect with people for the purpose of inspiring and empowering their lives. And this really embodies a lot of the important aspects of leadership. And early in my career, I found that I was responsible for managing projects. So management comes in all kinds of shapes and sizes, right? So managing projects meant that I was accountable for delivery of systems or functionality, and ultimately meant that I had to ensure that others were delivering functionality as well. So we all had a role to play in the project. As a business systems analyst or a scrum master, I was managing the deliverables and the business expectations without really being responsible for growth or performance of other project team members. And I call that managing without managing, or managing without authority. So that really was my first experience in managing, and I was really building that foundation of leadership as part of the process. And I realized that the part of the job that I was really enjoying was motivating other team members and partnering with them to deliver great systems and results. So as I gained more experience and was delivering more complex and impactful projects, I was able to hone in on my communication skills, have more interactions with senior leadership, and really start to drive some results there. Sorry, I was plugging in. And I was really also open to new challenges, places, experiences. And so I think it's one of those things that's helpful along the way as well. So I remember one time there was a project that I heard my manager talking about that I knew and he knew was going to be really challenging, and nobody really wanted to do it. And so I raised my hand and I said, well, I'll do it. I was open for challenges. And, I wanted to try something new, something that maybe took me out of my comfort zone, something maybe I hadn't done before. And, trying to recognize these opportunities that come to you when you see them can also help kind of develop your leadership skills there. So I took the challenge head on, all the while building up my leadership skills by managing contractors for that project. There was a budget associated that I had to manage, and business expectations. So all of these things you're doing right now are the foundations of leadership you are already leading. So once you continue through that your experiences and you're growing in your career, you're recognizing some opportunities that come up. Next thing is maybe finding your voice and owning your growth and talking up your impact that you're having along the way. And this will set you up nicely for some leadership opportunities. So I like this quote too. You get in life what you have the courage to ask for. Another Oprah Winfrey quote. She's one of my favorite people. But you know, raising your hand, continuing on your path, having those conversations with your leadership to get you going into the next phase of your career. So some things that come into play around recognizing opportunities can be timing, being prepared for opportunity when it comes to you, being prepared when you see an opportunity, whether that's within yourself or your team, or you see a gap somewhere and you think about, you know, starting to kind of be prepared around presenting yourself for an opportunity. So I tell this story, I've told this story a few times in this kind of capacity. I'd started a new job at my the company that I was at before Yelp, and my youngest child was just about a year old. He'd been sick for a week, and I'd had to miss some work, and things were pretty stressful. And I'd gotten to the elevator after a project meeting that week, and that I had to present the status of my project. And I had early success with projects and was making an impact. And my manager asked me in the elevator, have you ever considered being a manager? And up until that point in my career, I'd really never said no to an opportunity, which now I know was kind of what that was in that moment. And it caught me off guard. And given where I was at in that moment, I didn't think I could do it. But I'm here to tell you can. And the point that I'll make here is that for some reason, I thought that being a manager meant I had to give more of myself, like do the same job and then more. And that's just not the case. Like the job changes. And I think the other thing is, I didn't really have a lot of role models, you know, at that point, or mentors in technology who were moms. And I couldn't picture myself doing this because I hadn't seen anyone else do it either. So having mentors and allies and people you can talk to in these situations where you can say, hey, what is kind of this leadership or management role really about, is really going to help you along the way. And so I really didn't think about this elevator situation for a while. And later, when I felt my growth slowing and I thought about that elevator conversation, and I was kind of on rinse and repeat in the job, and I thought, well, you know, maybe that is the next step that I want to take in my career. And I started kind of talking to people about, you know, whether or not this was the right kind of step for me to take. And it really kind of helped nudge me into moving my career in that direction. So that's where I started to really think about finding my voice, right? And being ready to tell my story and celebrate the achievements I've made, whether they're big or small. And so I think a lot about my mom. So my mom is 5'1" and fiery. She's does whatever she's had to do for our family. I remember her stocking a cheese wall when I was little, stretching up high, hauling heavy cases of cheese while I was sitting in the grocery cart watching her do her job. And she would say to me my whole life, Tracie, you need to speak up. Speak up, Tracie. And what I know she meant was be your own advocate. So I think this is the point today where women are starting to come to the forefront and know that they need to be in rooms where decisions are being made. And everyone actually really needs to advocate for themselves at some point and get more comfortable with telling your story and being aware or beware of imposter syndrome. And don't let that voice inside you say, I can't do that. Like I think I did in that moment on the elevator. In that conversation. So recognizing when, you know, things are changing in your career, putting aside kind of that voice that's maybe saying, I don't know if I'm prepared to do that. And then again, starting to build your allies and mentors. At Yelp, we have a mentorship program in our awesome Women in Engineering employee research group. And, sign up for those programs if you have them at your company, or find other ways, networking opportunities where you can do speed mentoring or things like that, where you can meet women in other organizations that maybe are in leadership and you can learn from them. And then, sorry about that. My mouse is. And then what's next? So, I then took my opportunity to talk to my manager, and in the next one-on-one, I mentioned where I had a desire to be a leader and go into management. I wrote out my contributions, that things I had already been doing and managing. I came up with a plan for how I could build a team around functionality alignment, and mentioned my desire to move into leadership, and I had him kind of help me also build this plan so we can work on that together. And told, stories about my impact and why I thought I was ready. Now, this didn't happen overnight, but, once I started leading a team, then you're in this manager position, and it's okay, so you're a manager now, and what are we doing, right? So leading with authenticity. This is a big part of being a leader. Bringing your authentic self to work, and having empathy. You're starting to delegate, and you're watching others succeed. So delegation is a big part of that. Some other thing my dad used to say to us was, if you want something done, do it right, do it yourself. And that's not really what management is about. You want to be delegating, celebrating wins of your team, and you're starting to mentor and give back to other people who are ready to build themselves into leadership as well. And you also can continue your own growth. So have your growth plan at the forefront for yourself, and be comfortable with negotiating. Find opportunities to practice negotiating, whether it's for your own conversation, resources for your team, a project that you want your team to take, or even buying a car. I decided the last time we needed to buy a new car that I was going to negotiate the whole thing, all the terms myself, without any support from my spouse, because I wanted to know that I could do this myself. So, and don't be afraid to learn from others. Reach out to other leaders in your organization. Be humble sometimes around things that you think around leadership, and continue to learn from others. And, you can also learn, sometimes I learn a lot from my own kids. Just, boy, are they good negotiators, right? So there's lots of ways that you can continue to grow. Also, formalize a succession plan when you're a leader, because you can move into more scope and more leadership capabilities as your team is also building their skills with you. So having a good succession plan is actually a great way to continue to grow. And then your job kind of is changing, where you're influencing people and decisions being made above you and also across, and you're working with peers at your level, and you're continuing to grow. So that, for me, I hope what you guys have learned in 20 minutes goes by pretty fast, is, recognizing when you're ready for leadership, key factors associated with that, how to address your readiness with your leadership, and continuing the conversation for growth.
Thanks so much, Tracie. So much good information about being a leader for us here. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, perfect. Sure. We had some trickiness earlier today. Tracie, I think that there's so much in there that we need to kind of pull out, right? Do you think, and I know, like you were saying, 20 minutes goes so fast. Is there one kind of call out, like knowing we have one more minute here together, is there an extra call out you'd love to just use 1 minute to share, or the most important kind of point that you want to call out for us?
Yeah, I really think it's about like seeing the opportunity, recognizing if it's happening, if it comes to you, grab onto it, say yes, and don't kind of let any fears you have around it stop you from taking that opportunity. And I really want to see more women at the table with me. I'm still in rooms with lots of men. And, you know, I just hope that people find the courage and know that you can do this.
Absolutely. That's a perfect message for us to end on today, Tracie, at the end of a big, big day. I'm not sure how much time you've spent in different time zones here with us. We've had speakers on here starting at what would be probably 3 a.m. your time, all the way through to now in the evening, if we're depending which coast you're on. If you're on Pacific Coast, we're getting into the evening. So we've had so much fun. Thank you for closing us out today, Tracie. Good to see you here.
You're so welcome. Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye.